Hello and welcome. It is the 22nd annual Garden State Film Festival. There will be 200 films from over 14 countries, all starring March 21st to the 24th of this year. I am your host, Emily DeSimone, and I am here with writer Alec Bantavoglio of the short film Xander. Alec, thank you so much for joining me. Can you give our live audience a little bit about your film?
Yeah, thanks for having me. So Xander is it was actually shot kind of meant to be a pilot, sort of a proof of concept. It is a story about a lonely high school junior who, he doesn't have any friends at school. He's kind of, bullied by his older brother at home, feels very alone, until he comes in contact with this genie. And the genie also has the form of a teenage boy. So they become quick friends, and Luke has to decide whether using his wish is worth losing his new genie best friend that he's found.
And what inspired your writing for this pilot?
I think my inspiration was kind of to mix this like coming of age teen stories that I grew up on and love with my love for comedy. It's very, raunchy. It's very, a lot of R-rated humor in it, but it also has a lot of heart. And I wanted to kind of mend the two.
So is this your first time writing, or have you been writing for some time?
This is the first thing that I have shot that I've written. So I was the showrunner for this because it was meant to be a pilot. So I wrote it, I show ran it, and then we had a great team of about 25 other Chapman graduate students that also worked on this film.
And that's how you found your crew for this, the cast crew for this?
Yeah, for the most part, they were all Chapman graduate students.
That's awesome. Did you go to Chapman, or what's your affiliation?
Yeah, so we made this while I was in my last year of graduate school there. It was kind of shot as a thesis project.
So what was this filming process like, being that it's the first time you took something you've written and put it on a screen?
Sure. I mean, it was definitely a lot. I mean, you wouldn't think of how much goes into a 3-day shoot, but it was certainly overwhelming, especially when 25 crew and about 10 cast work on it. This was written in January 2022. We didn't film it until January 2023, and we didn't finish it until about 6 months ago. So the whole process was a lot, especially for an 11-minute short, but it was great.
So, I mean, congratulations on being accepted into the Garden State Film
Thank
Festival.
you.
Is this your first time entering into the festival? How did you find the festival? If you can give us a little bit about how you came to enter in.
Yeah, it is my first time in this festival, yes, being my first film. And I found out about it just because I'm from South Jersey. Grew up there, until I went off to college. And Asbury is one of my favorite towns. I would go, once I discovered it, when I got my license, I would go every summer, with friends, and I, see concerts there. I love it. So that was one of the first places I looked up because I just thought it'd be great to, have an excuse to go.
Well, welcome to the festival with this being your first year, and you're going to be in person
Yes.
this year. Awesome. Well, it'll be great to see you. So what are you anticipating or hoping that your audience will take from this pilot episode?
The main thing I just look for is laughs, really. I'd want people to come out, just being a little bit happier than when they went in, just because it's meant to make you smile and make you laugh. So, if the audience can get a good chuckle out of it, that's all I'm hoping for.
Awesome. So with that, it seems like you have a pretty good background right now in education in film, as it sounds. Do you have any advice for anyone that's starting out in film that, maybe something that you faced as someone that was new, or advice you could give yourself
Sure.
back then?
I think when you're making your first project, I think it's best to, write something or, think about what's going to be produced, with your budget in mind, because if you overshoot, if you overshoot the money that you have for the project, it's just going to end up looking that much worse because of the how high you were going to shoot for it. So when I was making this, we had our budget in mind, and we figured we can do one expensive thing. We can make this look worth a little bit more than it was by putting one VFX shot in it, one really nice one in it, and then everything else is gonna one house, one location. So I think just keeping in mind what you can do with the resources you have.
So, what would you say, again, with this being, the first work that you've taken from having written it onto screen, what was your favorite part of the process? And then what was the most challenging part of the process?
Yeah, my favorite part of the process, aside from getting to work with all these super talented people, was the table reads with the cast that we got. I mean, I was able to come up with much punchier, much funnier dialogue just by hearing these talented actors read these lines, and we got it to a much better place just a couple weeks out because they did such a good job reading the original script. So that was probably my favorite part, and the most challenging was at the other side of that.
Yeah.
Just I guess managing everything into 3 days. I guess 12 pages in 3 days doesn't sound like a lot, and it probably isn't a lot to most people. But as a first time, filmmaker, it was definitely a lot for us, and we were, under the gun a lot of days to finish everything and get wrapped in time.
So, I mean, having been through school, probably having done so much studying of other directors, other writers, other producers, who would you say, or what style would you say inspires you the most when it comes to this pilot?
Definitely the buddy teen comedy, really. So like a Super Bad, like a Book Smart, like a Harold and Kumar, any movie where it's kind of two friends against the world, and mix in that kind of raunchy humor that I'm you know akin to writing.
So what would you say? Because I know you talked a bit about like the biggest challenge. Would you say that there's something that you learned that was a really big challenge to this that you think is making you a stronger, whether it's a writer or a director, producer in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I think just going through the process of or working on other people's projects, really. It's everything that I've done prior to this project, I kind of just treated as a learning lesson. So any previous project I was on, seeing any mistakes that were made there, and kind of just taking them as lessons and putting them towards this to make as few mistakes as possible.
Do you have any future plans for this pilot? I mean, are you saying it's a pilot? Do you actually plan to, make a whole TV show or
I mean,
not?
it's definitely it would be the dream, I guess. I mean, right now it's kind of shot as a proof of concept. So, if we were ever able to make more episodes, that would be amazing.
That's awesome. So can you tell me maybe a bit about, do you have any future works like in the realm right now, in the process, in the brain, grinding, anything like that?
Yeah. So the super talented director who directed Xander, we collaborated on a project recently that is in post right now. It's a little bit of a darker project, but we kept it in the teen comedy, but it's a little bit more of a dramedy this time, coming of age, day in the life kind of project. It's a short film. It should be coming out sooner than later, and we're really excited about that.
Well, that's awesome. So, I mean, Alec, is there anything else really that you want to touch upon? Any messages you want to, relay onto your audience before we start wrapping things out?
No, I'm excited to see everyone and meet everyone at the festival, and thanks for having me, Emily.
Absolutely. Well, it was such a pleasure getting to talk to you and about your film, Alec. You guys, you can check out Xander at Asbury Lanes on Saturday, March 23rd during the 11:45 a.m. to 2 p.m. block. Alec, I hope to see you at the Garden State Film Festival this year, where there are 200 films screening across 8 venues, including hosting parties, panels, events, and more. Guys, you can get your tickets at gsff.org/tickets. I'm your host, Emily DeSimone, and Alec, thank you again so much for joining me. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend.
Thank you.